Welcome back. Hope everybody had a good break, or if you're working on this during break, hope you're getting some fun time in. Anyway, just pick back up where we left off with scenes 6 and 7, and just pick up on some themes that we discussed before with scenes 1 through 5, and then just some additional plot information. So the majority of scene 6 is the development of Blanche and Mitch's relationship. And you can tell that they're getting closer, that they're getting, she's hoping that he's going to solve all her problems, or at least give her some sense of control back over her life, which she doesn't have, clearly. So the very beginning of the scene, they have gone to some sort of amusement park, and they're talking about how Blanche says that she just didn't really have the best time, but that she got 10 points for trying. And then Mitch asks a very sensible question. Well, why did you try if you didn't feel like it, Blanche? And she says, I was just obeying the law of nature. And Mitch says, which law is that? And Blanche, the one that says the lady must entertain the gentleman or no dice. And so that's sort of the worldview under which Blanche is living, this sense that women have a particular space, men have a particular space, and she's trying to navigate what she thinks is her role, or what she thinks is the law of nature. At least that's what she's presenting herself as. Then the other big piece of information that drops in this scene is about Blanche's former husband. And she's mentioned him. His name is Alan Gray, several times previously in the play. But for the first time, we get what really happened. And you find out that she was madly in love with him, but she walks in on him having sex with another man, an older man. And initially the three just gone off about their day, but as they're going about their evening at a casino, but we find out that on the dance floor, she says, I suddenly said to him, I know, you disgust me. And then he proceeds to run out and shoot himself. And so this is the burden that she has been carrying for a really, really long time, because the indication is that they were married very young. So she does bear this truth to Mitch. And then at the end of the scene, Mitch says, you need somebody, and I need somebody too. Could it be you and me, Blanche? And she responds, and the scene ends by saying sometimes there's God. And then so quickly. So really that sense that she's hopeful that Mitch will marry her, because she doesn't really see that she's how she's going to make it, in this life, with the circumstances that she's in. So then we move into scene 7, and we find out more and more about what Blanche has been doing, in the last couple of years. One of the things I do want to point out, and here we're back to this Blanche versus Stanley thing, and I had you deal with the question of what worldviews are in conflict here. So we're continuing with that same thought of which do each of these characters represent, and how are they in conflict with each other. In scene 6, Blanche is talking to Mitch and says he is insufferably rude and goes out of his way to offend me. And she says he hates me, or why would he insult me? The first time I laid eyes on him, I thought to myself, that man is my executioner. That man will destroy me. And so I want you to think about that as we sort of move through the rest of the play. In what ways is Stanley destroying Blanche. How does Stanley destroy Blanche? And the more important question is, why does he think he needs to destroy Blanche? So again, what is at stake? What are the power relationships in this play? And then in scene 7, we see what's the truth that Stanley has uncovered. And in that scene, Stanley tells Stella, "I've got the dope on your big sister, Stella. You know she's been feeding us a pack of lies here." So it's again back to uncovering those lies. And why might Blanche be lying? What is she lying about? What's the purpose of those lies? And why does Stanley feel so strongly about uncovering those lies? And he finds out 2 lies. Lie number 1 is the truth about her stay in Laurel at the Hotel Flamingo. There's definite implication here that she was a call girl, as was hinted at in scenes 1 through 5. And then ultimately the hotel finds out about it and bans her, kicks her out. You can't do this here anymore. And the second lie is that she wasn't put on a leave, or she wasn't granted a leave of absence to recover from her emotional distress, but that she messed around with a 17-year-old boy, one of her students, and so she was fired. So here we see 2 big things coming to light about Blanche that explain her vulnerable state, that she has nowhere to go, that she has no money, and we know that. And Stanley is determined to tease out this truth. And then we find out too here that Stanley told Mitch. He said, "I told him I'd have that on my conscience the rest of my life if I knew all that stuff and let my best friend get caught." And so here we have then, maybe the truth that Blanche was feared all along, that man will destroy me. So here he's turned Mitch against her. And then he also goes on to tell Stella she's not staying here after Tuesday. You know that, don't you? Just to make sure, I bought her ticket myself, a bus ticket. And Stella says, "Well, what'll she do? What on earth will she do?" And Stanley says, "Her future is mapped out for her." And Stella says, "What do you mean?" And then Blanche comes in. So there's that sense at the end of this scene that maybe Stanley knows something that Stella and Blanche don't know at this point about what that means by her future being mapped out for her. So let's continue to read, continue to think about these power relationships, continue to think about why Blanche lies. If it's important, why Stanley must find out the truth, why she thinks he is her executioner.